As Workday is configured, it keeps a structured record of every configuration element that has been inputted into it. These records are accessible via Workday extracts called BP definitions, short for Business Process Definitions. Workday BP definitions are the backbone of the Workday Business Process Framework. Think of them as blueprints or as modular building blocks you can assemble, in that they outline the steps, approvals, and conditions that make up a business process within Workday. For the City of Charlotte's Workday implementation, these BP definitions are indexed by departmental working areas, making it easier to focus on one area or department at a time. However, in order to get the most out of this great Workday feature, it is necessary to organize the data in the BP definitions for each department into a structure that reflects how the department's work flows from an operations point of view. Otherwise, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the volume of data in these BP definitions. For this reason, the JB Business Readiness team created an example of what a structured representation of a Workday BP definition could look like. On December 12th, Amy P. from the Accenture team provided us via the TAP portal with the BP definitions for the 9 City of Charlotte business process areas that make up the HCM implementation footprint. These BP definitions were based on the December 4th code freeze and only represent what was in Workday up until December 4th. These Workday extracts contain 72 columns of data specific to each of the City of Charlotte's HCM business process areas. The following is a review of how we worked with these BP definitions, using the absence business process area as our example. Firstly, we looked at what was inside the BP definitions. These definitions contained information grouped by the following 5 areas. 1. Steps, the series of tasks that need to happen. For example, submit a compensation change form, manager approval, HR review. 2. Approvals, who has the authority to approve each step and in what order. 3. Conditions, rules that trigger different paths. For example, if the compensation increase is over 10%, send it to an additional approver. 4. Notifications, built-in alerts and communications at various stages of the process. 5. Integrations, where the business process is connected with external systems or trigger actions outside of Workday. Secondly, we used an instructional design framework to organize how we would structure the data contained in the definitions such that they would be easy to present to end users in a systematic way. This is because in the final analysis, the success or failure of the implementation depends to a great extent on the ability of the end user to be productive using the new system. This success criteria goes beyond merely training end users on how to execute tasks in the new system. For this reason, the primary purpose of this exercise was to represent everything that had been configured in Workday from the perspective of an end user. The instructional design framework organizes the information to be shared into 5 hierarchical levels to essentially form a taxonomy. Starting at the topmost level, we have Level 5, the organizational function. This level provides information on the overarching purpose and direction for the entire department or business process area. Level 4, business processes. This level provides information on the controlling guidance for how the work should flow in order to meet the functional purposes defined in Level 5. Level 3, supervisory roles. This level provides the information on keeping the workflow on track and in sync through supervision of the work and the people assigned to the roles responsible for executing the required tasks. Level 2, functional roles. This level provides information on the functional roles required to execute the tasks that move the business processes along. Level 1, tasks. This level provides the information on the tasks that must be executed in order to move the processes forward, one step at a time. Taken together, what we created was a complete profile of the absence workflow in Workday as of the December 4th, 2023 code freeze. It includes every absence-related task that must be executed in Workday, the functional and supervisory roles assigned to execute those tasks, the processes that those tasks are designed to progress, and finally, the organizational objectives that those processes are designed to meet. We then created a visual representation of this comprehensive profile called the absence BP operations architecture. On the left are the 5 levels we previously described, starting at the bottom with level 1, tasks. This section contains all the absence tasks programmed into Workday by December 4th, 2023. The tasks are grouped according to the 9 absence processes they are a part of. Those 9 absence processes can be found in level 4, and there is a control relationship that exists between levels 4 and 1, because there should be no absence-related tasks at level 1 that is not a part of at least one of the processes in level 4. As we curated the information in the absence BP definitions extract, we identified 41 absence tasks in Workday. As expected, all 41 tasks corresponded to at least one of the 9 absence processes identified in level 4. Had this not been the case, we would have termed any tasks not associated with a process as orphans and flagged them as discrepancies. This ability to clearly see if there are discrepancies in how things are aligned is a byproduct of any curation work, and is why this type of work is sometimes categorized as a quality control audit. So how did we identify all the absence-related tasks in Workday? We went into the Workday Absence BP extract provided by Amy and organized the column structure in a way that quickly allows us to read across each line item, from the business process to the associated roles, and onto the tasks, or steps, those roles execute, and the sequence or order that they are executed in. We then filtered the extract according to business process, and all the associated information for that process is organized according to the structure we created, and thus easy to collate. The result was the creation of a set of 9 workbook reports that covered a total of 9,637 individual process steps within Workday as of December 4th, 2023. These process steps were assigned to 242 different roles. Taken together, these process steps and the roles that execute them enabled the completion of 1,241 transactions in Workday, and these transactions in turn supported 42 functional objectives across the 15 original business process areas that constituted the City of Charlotte's HCM operations. The workbook report contains a cover sheet and 7 visible tabs. There is an 8th tab that is normally hidden. It is the reference tab containing the absence BP definitions that the rest of the tabs reference and read from. The summary tab gives a quantitative overview of key Workday transactions that relate to the City of Charlotte business process area that it is focused on. In this example, its focus is the absence business process area. It identifies that as of December 4th, 2023, there were 9 absences-related business processes configured into Workday. Those 9 business processes required the execution of 41 transactions within Workday. Those 41 transactions were made up of only 7 different types of steps. These 7 step types can be found in the unique T-Step Types tab and include initiation, which is a requirement that the process can only be started by an end user with the appropriate permission. The other step types are action steps, to-do steps, approval steps, review document steps, and notification steps. So, all 41 absence-related transactions within Workday, as of December 4th, 2023, are made up of only these 7 types of steps. This information is an important consideration for instructional design and would normally play a key role in the design and development of end-user training content. Finally, the Summary tab identifies that all these absence-related steps, transactions, and processes encompass just 3 departmental function areas, namely time off and leave, time tracking, and something called Workday scheduling. The Key OC by Workday tab breaks down that while most of the 9 absence-related Workday processes are what are called cross-functional processes, meaning that they include steps that relate to more than one of the 3 absence functions, namely time off and leave process, time tracking process, and Workday scheduling process. There are a group of Workday process steps that are dedicated only to the time and leave process. Once again, This is an important consideration for instructional design and the design and development of end-user training content, because it suggests that the time off and leave function should be treated as an independent learning objective, as some of its components are executed independently of the other absence functions like time tracking and workday scheduling. The second tab is the BP Summary tab. This tab is focused only on the 9 absence business processes and organizes them according to 2 criteria. 1. How intricate the processes are. Intricacy is based on the number of transaction steps that is required to complete the process. In this example, any process that requires more than 3 transaction steps is categorized as intricate. Intricate processes are highlighted in orange. 2. If the process is cross-functional. This means that the steps that make up the process cross over into other functional areas. Cross-functional processes are highlighted in red. Once again, this information is crucial to the design and development of end-user training content. Instructional design principles would generally prioritize the development of cross-functional content first, because elements of this process can most probably then be repurposed for other content areas. Next will be the prioritization of intricate content, because those would conceivably take the longest time to create. The third tab is the Business Readiness Auditor. As the name of this tab suggests, this tab is the main focus of the workbook report and is focused on 4 things. 1. Alignment between the City of Charlotte's future state business process maps and what has been configured into Workday. 2. Alignment between the steps required to complete these business processes in Workday and the sequence and roles assigned to each of those steps. 3. Understanding how these steps differ from what the City of Charlotte end users are used to and, by extension, how big an impact these changes might prove to be to them. 4. And finally, an understanding of how to categorize each step in terms of the nature or description of the change. For example, does this particular step represent a change in the people or roles that will execute it? Or is it a change in the process by which it used to be executed by City of Charlotte employees? Or is it merely that this step will now be conducted in a different system than was previously done? The purpose of this tab is to answer the following questions for each line item based on what has been configured into Workday. 1. What City of Charlotte business process is involved in this line item? 2. What Workday system process does that City of Charlotte business process correspond to? 3. What sequence of steps are involved in executing that process in Workday? 4. What roles are involved in performing each step? 5. What type of change does that step represent when compared to what end users are used to? For example, does the step represent the introduction of an entirely new step? Or is it a modification of an existing step? Or is it the removal or replacement of an existing step? Or does it represent no change at all? 6. How should that step be described in terms of the type of change it represents, and how significant is that change in terms of high, medium, and low impact on prospective City of Charlotte end users? Once again, this information is crucial to the design of the training curriculum and the development of end-user training content. The next tab of significance in this workbook report is the Role Auditor tab. As the name suggests, this tab is focused on the roles involved in the business process area. It lists every role associated with a step in the business process, and then counts the number of times each role is active within the whole process area. Once again, this information is crucial to the design of the training curriculum and the development of end-user training content, because it presents in one place every actor or role player that must be accounted for in the curriculum and content being developed. Last but not least is what we called the Discrepancy Log tab. As the name suggests, this tab catalogues any elements within the BP definitions that we were unable to align. This simple collation exercise helps identify easy-to-overlook misalignments in aspects of the configuration that have gone unnoticed. Sometimes, these misalignments are easy to resolve, while other times they indicate that a significant edit to the configuration is required. And now, to recap, here again is a summary of the steps we took. 1. Request and get the BP definitions extract from Workday. Be sure to only use extracts that are tied to a specific code freeze. This way we know exactly when, in the ongoing configuration work, any things that we find occurred. 2. Organize the column structure in the extract in the way described earlier so that the relevant information is easy to collate. 3. Filter by business process and collate all associated information for quantification. 4. Quantify and qualify the information into an easy-to-read report. And thus, by following this 4-step process, we were able to produce a workbook report for each of the 9 HCM business process areas. So why is the creation of workbook reports like this important? They are important because ERP programs are by their nature complex, because they are designed to unify a labyrinth of business processes while also integrating these processes with existing systems and data sources. Furthermore, ERP systems often come with best practice workflows built in, meaning that an organization that is implementing an ERP system will likely need to revamp some of its existing business processes, and this leads to change management challenges. The City of Charlotte's ERP program is no different, but it has its unique challenges. Chief amongst these challenges is the fact that the City of Charlotte does not have a dedicated organizational change management, or OCM, capability. This means that it does not have its own tried and tested methodology with which to organize and execute the change management function. In situations like this, the tendency is for the technology to become the focus of the transformation. But this is not a technology project. It is in fact a business transformation program, and the technology is merely one of the tools. For the transformation to happen, the technology must be configured to the transformation specifications. However, in order to know if and when the transformation specifications have been met, there must be a structured way to understand the following. What is changing? Who is impacted by the changes? What effect will those changes have on the work? And what are the implications of those effects? This is exactly the level of detail that these workbook reports are designed to deliver, and this is why they are needed.